Hello and welcome to Postcards from a Soul and Her Human. I'm the human Gina. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate your presence very much. This is actually a really unique and special time in my life, and it's funny how I didn't really recognize it as such right away. This has been such a long journey. The last 3 years after I essentially broke up with my ex-husband until the time when I feel finally free of that relationship for the most part. It's been a long journey because it took a long time to untangle myself from this person, not just because of the emotionality, but because of we shared a business together and because of other aspects of each of our personalities or our karma that caused the delay in things happening, which I've talked about in fragments throughout this podcast, but it's really interesting to sit here now, 3 years after we broke up, 2.5 years after our divorce was final, but only 2 years since he moved out of my home because of the relationship that we had, which was one of a narcissist and an empath. And I've talked about this a lot, so I won't rehash, but I've talked about how removing myself or draining his essence from my energy, how much of a focus that was, how it required my intention. I had to truly desire to untangle my energy from his. And I wrote about this in one of my articles called Soulmates, where I described the untangling of our energies, or actually, I described us as being ripped apart by our soul families because the end of this relationship, which was just 2 years ago, the end of before he moved out, was a trip to the hospital with an energetic break that I suffered, which I describe as my soul family ripping me away from this man because I didn't have the will to do it. And in that ripping apart of our souls, I was left damaged. And I write about that in the article, how I feel like there's a hole in my energetic body from this connection to this man. And that because we had to be torn apart, that rip was caused. And I still believe that, and I have healed quite a bit, but I still feel that sore or that scar in my energy, not emotionally, not mentally, but just energetically. So because that was such a long and arduous process to separate my energy from this man, this was a long time coming. So the healing has been 2 years now since it'll be actually the end of this month, which is June 2023, that will mark the 2 year anniversary of him finally leaving my home, which is the last step in separating physically. Even though we were already divorced 6 months at that time, and we had broken up even 6 months before that. So it's just amazing to be sitting in this space now. I wasn't sure I was going to do an episode about this because it felt so deeply personal, so deeply like something I should keep within me. But some amazing things have taken place that I want to share. So in the spirit of sharing everything, as I've tried to do throughout this whole thing, is I want to talk about this and not just for the quality of information for those who might be involved with a narcissist or who may be an empathic person having difficulty with boundaries with other people, narcissists or not. I want to really talk about this. Again, I think this is a subject that is never going to be exhausted because it's it's so important for us to talk to each other about who we are and how we're feeling. And I know that's difficult. I've had great difficulty with this during my lifetime, not just opening up and sharing, but now that I'm in a place in my life very late in this round or this go about, there's no one in my life, and this no offense to anyone who's currently in my life, but there's no one in my life who's gone through what I've gone through. Not the end of the marriage and the narcissist empath, not that. Just through this realization of who I am, this awakening. So because I don't have anyone to talk to, it's difficult to feel supported. So I just want to say these things out loud to anyone who might be feeling the same way, is that you're not alone. This is something that many, many people deal with. And I think that we get so comfortable just, and this I can say for myself, just plowing ahead and assuming this is part of life and that we need to get through it on our own. And it's really doesn't, we shouldn't require assistance. That is what we tell ourselves when we feel out of control and we don't know what to do. And when there's no one around us who can really resonate. And I think that we all fall into these holes. All of us do. This is the reason this was my, the thing that trapped me. But there's many other types of relationship, paradigms or personality character traits that cause these holes in our lives that we fall into, and we fall into them because our souls designed our lifetime with these holes in mind, so we would have this time to be, to agitate our demons, and then we choose to overcome them or we choose to feed them. This is what we are given in life. We are given these choices. And it's funny how I just wrote a section in my book about this, but I guess it's going to come up now, is the purpose of our life is to find our own unique selves. And when we are able to do that, we sing out into the world our own unique song. And this has been described to me as a whale, the whale song. Whales swim the oceans around the world singing their unique song. And if anybody's heard whale song, it is, talk about resonating, at least for me, it is just this amazing sound that stirs something inside of me. And that's what it's meant to do. It is a unique sound that is a pure sound from a sentient being who is an energy that is mixed with everything. So we, again, back to the duality of existence, we are all the same energy. Excuse me. But we're here in a sentient form so we can have an individualized experience in this world, and that's how we grow through lessons, and that's how we evolve. So, and relationships are the best way to do that. So whales, take, or the enlightened or elevated or escalated beings that take the form of whales are in the ocean singing this whale song, their own unique song, to awaken those who hear it, those who are stirred by it. So because of that song, that unique song that comes only from that whale, and by the way, this is a resonance that I'm learning a lot about. Resonance is how, all the whales in the world, if you heard them all together, they would be one sound. All of the humans in the world talking and living, when you go up into the ethers, into the ethos, and you hear humanity as a sound across the world, it's one tone, it's one resonance. Everything, insects, birds, everything living has a resonance, including the trees and the grass and the flowers and the planets and the stars. Everything is sound. And I'm learning about this now through a series on Gaia called Sound Creation. But anyway, I don't want to digress too far into there. My point is that even though at from a planetary perspective, the sound of humanity is the same. We all have individual voices. We all have our own resonance. And when we live this life as our most unique selves. And this is what our soul comes here to do, is to find that unique expression of themselves. And they know what it is before they come here. They absolutely know what it is. They plan the lifetime, the incarnation, this one in particular. For me, my soul planned the pitfalls or the holes in specific places for me to fall into, and either I climb out or I lay down and cover my head. Though this is all part of the design of my soul. And when I get to this point in my life where I'm meant to awaken, which I consider to be the time I'm in now, is when I find my true unique self, because I've been able to shed the weight of the karmic me, the person that I was when I was laden or weighed down with my karma. So when you think about elevation or escalation or evolving, it it causes you to think of rising up, right? That's what escalating is. That's what elevating is. It's going up. And evolving is the same thing. We evolve upward into a lighter, more fine, refined energy or frequency of energy, which isn't able to carry the dead weight of the lower frequencies. So it's so appropriate that it's called elevation or escalation, because that's what we do. We escalate out of our heavy selves and into these higher ethos. So anyway, because we are able to do that, or when we are able to do that, in what lifetime our soul designed us to do that, we become this elevated or escalated version of ourselves. And in that energy, in that more refined energy, where all of the white noise and the static of our lower vibrational existence falls away, we can discover our true selves, because we take off the mask, we end the facades, we end the things in our lives, which is really going to segue me into what I want to talk about. We end the things in our lives that no longer serve this escalated version of ourselves, this more evolved version of ourselves. So I've talked about this a lot. I shed, obviously, an old relationship that was toxic. It took much effort and a long time for me to truly purge that. And during that time period, up until very recently, actually still now, I'm purging things out of my life that do not serve me anymore, that I look at now and I wonder, how did that ever fit? And these do include relationships, and these are close relationships, or who were close relationships at one time. And it doesn't mean that I feel differently about the person. It's just that there's nothing, there's no connection anymore. And these relationships will slowly fade, and they'll pass. Their time will pass. And it's not like I'm breaking up with everybody. It's not that at all. It's still a deep love for these people in my life, but it's just a lack of resonance. It's not their fault. If I'm going to lay fault, if I need to do that, it's mine. I'm different. I'm a different person now. My tolerances are different. My sensitivities are different. My choices, my desire, my outlook, my perspective, everything is different. So it stands to reason that things in my life that were once important or once fit no longer fit. So, you know, this is what we do. This is shedding the weight. And please don't get me wrong, people are not weight unless they drain you and you are not who you are authentically meant to be in their presence. This is our responsibility to recognize that and to either alter or end those relationships. So, I don't want to make it sound like there are other people out there who are um, leached onto us that we have to now get rid of. It's not that at all. This is just changes in relationships, change in dynamics, changes in energy, where my energy no longer resonates with other people's energy. And this is not a lot of people. There's not a lot of people in my life, to be honest. But I'm just trying to accentuate the point that we do let go of everything, including relationships. And I believe one day this will include my location, because my sensitivity to uh, physical things has changed. Heat, for example. I just had an example the other day of this. I have never really enjoyed really hot weather. But now, since I've gone through this change in my energy, and I was warned about this, that I would become much more sensitive to noise, commotion, drama, violence, um, many, many things. I mean, this resulted in me passing out in the hospital room of my daughter when she had her baby, when I went to see the baby for the first time. This is that sensitivity to to being overstimulated in certain environments. So avoid crowds, I avoid loud noises, I avoid a lot of things that I used to be able to tolerate, but now I don't. My energy doesn't want to tolerate it, and I don't desire to tolerate it. So I remove myself or avoid these situations. And I don't know if it's always going to be this way or if it's because I'm still going through this transmutation, but this is something that I'm aware of. And I think I put this one way in an earlier podcast. It's not that I have anxiety in public at all. It's not that at all, but I'm very, very aware of myself in the environment that I'm in. So it's almost like a flip of the of anxiety. I don't feel anxious around other people. I'm just ultra aware of myself and how I'm feeling. And if my body and my energy is happy, the resonance is clear and it's comfortable and I want to be there. And so conversely, when the resonance is off, I don't want to be there. And that's as simple as I can put it. So it's an ability to recognize. It's the tuning fork I have in my body. The ability to recognize where I'm not going to be comfortable, and I no longer feel the need to be there as I would have in an earlier stage of my evolution when I was trying to fit in or comply or to be accepted. So I think that's probably the best way to put that. I'm very aware of myself, my body, my energy, my respiration, my thoughts. Am I comfortable or not? It's not something that I verbally, that I think about. It's just my body speaking to me and me immediately responding. So, when I think about this resonance or this tuning fork in my body, how it's really changed the way I engage with my world, it's of course it makes sense that there are going to be things in my world that no longer resonate, and and there have been many, many things that I've let go of, and I went through a purging period recently where that I didn't really understand. I woke up one day and I realized that the streaming app that I use, that I didn't really want it anymore. That there were a few shows that I liked, but the last several times I went to watch them, I kind of just started the episode and then I ended it. And I'm like, I'm not interested, somehow, suddenly not interested in this programming anymore. And just about every program that I watched, I did the same thing. I would start an episode that I had been watching continuously. And then I just suddenly lost interest, ended the episode, and went and find something else. And I realized one morning, a few days later, that I just don't care I don't want the app anymore. So let me purge it out of my channel catalog, and then I'm not going to pay for it anymore. And it'll be something, it'll feel like getting rid of something that doesn't fit me anymore. So it started with that. And I ended up, I did that. I ended the subscription, which felt really great. I got rid of the app, and I just felt like I purged something that I no longer needed. And I'm a purger, so I don't know about you, but this felt good to me. And I just started to realize that in that energy, I wanted to purge as much as I could. I looked around my home and I realized, okay, in my office, there's a whole other computer sitting there that used to belong to my ex-husband. When we in our office, we each had our own computers. I did, the bookkeeping and the advertising and all that on mine, and he did whatever he did on his. I don't know. But I kept his computer because I used to use it. It used to be the one that I used for business after he moved out. And I got a new computer that I ended up only using. I didn't use for business anymore. So my computer sitting here, the one I record these podcasts on, the one I use every day. And his is sitting next to me to my right on another table, has been sitting there for more than a year, for almost a year now since he's moved out. And I kept it because we were still in business together. Well, up until a year ago, I'm sorry. Let me backtrack. 2 years ago, he moved out, but for the last year have I been retired from the business. So I wanted to keep that computer in case our accounting people or anyone needed something off of it that he may not have access to. So I remained open and available to the accountant, to him for anything he needed for the business that I might have had on that computer. So I wanted to make sure that I kept it. So now I'm thinking it is, that year that I've almost been retired a year. I'm thinking this during May last month. Let me get rid of this computer. Tax season's over. Obviously, the accountant doesn't need anything else. I've given everything else I possibly could give to my ex-husband that he could possibly need to run the business. Again, I was very, very, it was important to me to leave him whole as I could with that business. So I kept it for that reason. But now I'm realizing, okay, I don't need this anymore. So I packed it up, everything, and including the lamp that was his, and I just got it out of the house. And once I got rid of it, I just felt this elation, just like this. If you purge it all, you know what I'm talking about. I just felt this incredible lighter. I felt lighter, and it felt good to get rid of the last few things that connected me to him and to that business. And it really felt important. And I talked to my daughter about it. And it was a good day. I just felt this, you know, this elation, this liberation from this stuff that was still in my home that belonged to the two of us. So I got rid of that stuff, and I'm thinking about, the rest of my home. I'm looking all over the place and I'm thinking, what else can I get rid of? I was kind of in the mood for that. And I just realized it was just something that I really needed to do. It felt liberating. And so they did that about a week ago. And then this is so funny how things are. I talked in a podcast, or maybe a couple, about money and how I felt supported by the universe over the last year when I left my business, not knowing if I was going to need to find a job soon, or if I was going to be able to survive on the money that I was going to be getting, which was our partnership agreement for me to when I left. It wasn't enough to cover my monthly bills, even though I'm very conservative in my spending. But somehow, with the money that I got every month, which was part of our agreement of my buyout, and the money that I was able to get from things that we sold in our inventory, which we agreed to up to a certain point, which is just passed, that we would share, I really didn't know if it was going to be enough. And I didn't want to go into my savings. And I figured, well, I'll just have to get a job. It's fine. I'm progressing out of this thing. I don't know what's coming, but I'll do what I have to do. And I've talked recently to my daughter about this a lot, how over the months, and it's been 12 now, 12 months at the end of May, I've just every few months kind of checked in with myself and said, okay, do we need to get a job now? Do we have enough money? Or how, and every time I checked in, I was good. And I said, no, I can keep going. I can stay retired. And I would say stay retired. It was like a temporary thing. And then I realized last month, and I talked about this, how I just needed to trust that I would always have what I needed, that looking back over the last year, the universe has provided me the income I needed to stay retired, quote unquote. And I marveled at that. And then I woke up one morning, and this was about a week ago, with another epiphany, like the biggest one I've had in a long time, since the beginning of months of my healing, of my awakening. That what if I looked at my entire savings account as a bridge to my next life? Why do I have to keep this money, covet this money that I've had for so long as an emergency fund? And maybe I can think of it as a bridge instead of an emergency fund. And maybe that will get me all the way through to whatever's next for me. And I'm telling myself, it's amazing. Oh my God. And I had a realization in bed, of course, is when I always do in the morning, that I don't need to worry about money, that I have enough put away to get me wherever I'm going. And if I don't have enough there, then the universe will provide. This is what trust and faith is. And I talked about this briefly before, is that trust and faith is not knowing how it's going to come or when and where, but trusting that if you are on the path, you're your own unique path. And this is a fork in the road that we're given at different times in our lives. We either can take the right hand path, and we can go towards security and safety and do the thing that makes us feel safe. which really in essence is feeding our insecurities and fears. So I get a job, I'm getting an income, I feel like I'm secure now, I'm good. But the problem is that I've left the path of the unknown, of the trailblazer, of trusting and having faith in the universe. And for me, and I'm only going to speak for myself, this is what my soul came here to do. I know this. I know this from the tarot readings. I know this from my Gene Keys um, template of my energy, which again, I would recommend anyone doing the Gene Keys Golden Path, because it maps your energy based on the planetary alignments and your date of birth and place of birth for your particular visit here on Earth. And it mirrored exactly what I had experienced and continues to. So if I choose the right, if I turn right and go towards safety, I get exactly what I want. I get safety, but I don't get the wonder of living. I don't get the excitement of discovering who I am. I don't get to be the unique me. So if I take the left-hand turn, which I did when I left my ex-husband, and then I did it again when I left my business, the leap of faith I took to do those things, and the leap of faith I took again to do this podcast, not really understanding why I was doing it or writing the articles and even the book, then the universe conspires to support you, because now you are looking for the expression of your own unique self. So when you go into the unknown, or let me say, when I go into the unknown, I would never suggest somebody just quit their job and their relationship and go off into the nowhere. I don't know what your journey is, and that's something you have to find out for yourself. And you do that through quieting your life and really sitting with yourself. And I've talked about that at length also. So anyway, because I took this left turn at this fork in the road at this time in my life, or these last few times, and did not take the road of safety and security, the universe says, okay, we see you and we got you. And we're going to make sure you have everything that you need going forward, even though you have no idea when and where and how it's going to come to you. So, because I got to this place, and this is so funny how this happened, I was fearing this a little bit. And I told my daughter, I said, those 3-month check ins that I was doing was actually me checking to see if I was yet fearful enough to get a job. Think about that. Was I yet fearful enough to get a job? And the answer, thank God, was no. And as this energy, this frequency in my body has been rising through this transmutation I've been going through that I've described in detail, fear, it still comes. And I describe it this way: it comes up out of my heart and sits on my hand and looks me in the eye. And it wants to know, am I ready to abandon my faith and go back to what's familiar? Are you ready to go back and take that right turn to safety? And I glance down at it, and before I can get a full look at it, it just disappears in my hand and flows out like sand. This is what fear is like now in my life. It doesn't have the resonance, the heaviness in my resonance to stick. It doesn't stay in this lighter frequency, this higher frequency energy. It can't be held. It slips away. So although I do feel the ghost of fear, it doesn't stay. And it's almost like, when I used to fear, I would focus on it and then hyper focus, and then it become obsessive. And this is how we really churn out this frequency to the universe, and we get back all these fear-based things. This is how karma works. But now I can't focus on it. It comes up, and I kind of glance. It's almost like in my periphery now, where you sense something's there, but you can't really. When you look straight at it, it disappears. That's what fear feels like now. It's like a ghost, because the time that I feared the most was getting that last payment from my payout agreement, which was the beginning of May, which was a month ago, and having to start to use my own money or get a job. That was the date in the future that I was always like, it was in the back of my mind that, okay, well, that's kind of like the do or die moment. You're going to have to get a job then, Gina. You have to. You can't use your savings. That's your emergency fund, right? But it's so amazing how this purging period, getting rid of the computers and his lamp, I mean, that was so meaningful. It felt so good. And it's funny because I was able to give the computer back to him. I wanted him to have it in case he needed the hard drive. Um, again, I wanted to leave him whole. I didn't want to do anything, and I hadn't seen him in, I don't know if it had been a year, a very, very long time. And I had planned to just go drop the computer off at his back door at my old place of business and just send him an email and say, here, it's back there. But when I drove up there in the middle of the day, not expecting him to be there, he was there. And I said, put on your big girl pants and go in there and talk to him. And I did. And it felt amazing. It was so amazing. I don't know what I thought I would feel, but I didn't feel anything difficult at all. I felt it was almost like it was good for me to see him and to know that, and it's going to sound terrible towards him, and I don't mean it to, like that demon is dead. And now he's just this man, and he's beautiful, and he's, oh God, I just hit my heart just, oh my God, I just can't even describe. So the feeling that I stayed with him for a few minutes and helped him with something that he was having difficulty with. And I said, this is the last time I'm cutting this off. I just want you to know, this is the end of our time is coming. This business is over now. Our business is over, just about over. So, and I wished him well and I walked away, and I was more excited about getting rid of the computers than I felt anything about him. And it felt so wonderful. It just felt so good to not be affected in any negative way by this meeting. I know, and I said this on my way out of the house. I said, I'm going to drop this off kind of, you know, on the down low and leave. I said, unless the universe has other plans for me. So I guess I kind of knew I would probably see him, and it was fine. It was good for me. So I drop all this stuff off. I purged this stuff. He didn't want the old lamp. So I took it to, a donation center, and I took it out of my truck and I put it down on the ground, and I looked at it and I said, I hope you have a good life too. I hope you find a good home. This lamp that I never used that belonged to my ex-husband. It just felt good to be kind and to be compassionate, even towards the lamp, if that makes any sense. And of course, towards him. He's a human being who served this incredible purpose in my lifetime, who I gained so much from my time with him. It's just amazing. So anyway, I dropped that stuff off, and this time that I feared so, over time, that of course the fear had dissipated, but I still didn't know what to expect when it came. That last payment came at the end of May, and June 1st, which was just a couple of days ago, I had to draw the first payment from my savings account, my emergency fund, to start to pay for my own, my business with my ex is over. My payout is over. I don't get anything else. There's one item still between us, which is potentially has a lot of value. So that's still there, although everything else is sold. Payments are all made. So I'm 99.999% done. But I'm calling it done because that's what I want to do. I'm ready for that. So this day is coming, and I'm talking to my daughter about how I'm feeling. I said, I feel pretty good. I don't feel any fear. That little fear monster that didn't come out onto my hand. I haven't seen it yet. I'm just like thinking, I don't know what to expect. This is completely new territory. So June 1st comes, and I say to myself, well, okay, let's move that money over. And I moved the money over, and I felt this elation again, like no fear, no hesitation, just like I'm emancipated. I felt like it was an emancipation from this old version of myself. And we all have the moments in our lives that resonate in our memory as a moment that marked something important in our lives, that ended a chapter or began one. And this, for me, after these 3 years of leaving this person, this payment to myself marked that day, this moment, as my emancipation. And I think I'll call this podcast Emancipation Day, because it's so incredible how I felt. And I told my daughter that Well, let me get to that in a second. I left my home. I was going to visit my daughter and my new grandbaby, where I spend most of my daytime during the week now, which is amazing, with this beautiful little baby and my gorgeous daughter, who we have this new relationship now as adults, because I didn't know her as an adult. She had her own life, and now she's this adult with this beautiful daughter. I'm her mom, and we have this whole new relationship. It is breathtaking. And of course, it's how it's meant to be, because I'm meant to bond with this baby. And oh, there's so much to tell you, but I won't digress too far. But so I'm getting ready to go see my daughter and my granddaughter, and I'm leaving the house, and I realize the date is June 1st. And I know it didn't hit me before, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the anniversary of my first day of retirement from my business. And of course, I knew that, like, technically, because it was 12 months after, and of course that's when the payments ended. And but it didn't hit me that it was the day of, the anniversary of. So how fitting that my Emancipation Day is commemorative of the day I left my business a year before. It's just amazing to me, and it maybe wouldn't have meant anything to someone else, but to me it did. June 1st, 2023 is my Emancipation Day from my old self, not just my old relationship and my old business, my old self. There was no fear. I had this incredible trust. I still do. It hasn't, that fear monster is nowhere to be found. He's not in my periphery. He's not in my heart. He's nowhere. Even though now I'm relying on my own savings, I'm not getting a job, at least until I'm inspired to do so, or I'm inspired to take some other action or accept an offer. I don't know what it's going to look like. This is what going down that unknown road looks like. I don't know. This is the unknown. And this is where I am the most at home. This is where I become my true self, where I sing my resonant whale song to the world. And this is what we're meant to do as human beings. We come into this life with our karma and all this weight, and we have to overcome so much, but it's all by design. And when we graduate human school and we shed all that armor and that weight, and we become clear and resonant with the universe, with the earth, balance and coherence comes, and our body systems are now coherent. I talked about this before with connecting with the earth. The earth provides the resonance of the harmony of our bodies and our souls. And when we connect with the earth in this clear mind, in this clear heart, in this fully formed hybrid of ourselves, which is our light being balanced with our human being, we become coherent with the earth and with the universe. The energy of the universe, the electromagnetic energy of the universe, and the energy of this earth resonates through us, up and down and around us like a torus, and becomes in tune or harmonizes with the earth and the universe. And this is how we are our most healthy, vital, connected, inspired, creative, loving, hopeful, inspired, creative, loving. Did I say loving? Selves. That's it. And when we become this highest version of ourselves, we are now the most unique we will ever be. We are our own unique person. And then when we speak, or just by our presence, we don't have to speak. Our energy vibrates in a way that affects everything. Now, don't get me wrong, in our lower vibrational selves, it does the same thing. But now we're in a frequency where this vibration heals, and it elevates and it escalates others and other things. I mean, when I go outside by the trees, I feel the resonance with them. Nature is my home. I can't be indoors very long. If I'm not outside, I'm sitting looking outside. And this is not a burden. That's where I belong. Nature is my natural habitat. The structures that we built, the constructs of our human lives are they serve a purpose for sure. But if we only identify with them and we don't see we truly are as this organic being, this living, breathing ecosystem, that needs to be out into the world, in the with the planet and the trees and the and everything that the earth produces. That's who we are as organic beings. We have brains and we have purposes here, which this human body does these things. We have access to these emotions and to these senses and to everything that we do, our brains, to live a life in this place of manifestation. Think about that. This is something I started recently, and it just kind of popped in out of my mouth as I said good morning to the new day, which I do every day. I open my back window and I say, "Good morning, new day. Good morning, beautiful earth. Good morning, my beautiful trees that are in my yard." And all trees, of course, is what I mean. Thank you for this brand new day in this place of manifestation where everything is possible, where anything is possible. I mean, I could become the queen of some new place. I could become, I don't know. I mean, anything. I could turn into an elephant and live in the Serengeti. I don't know. I'm being silly now, but I'm just trying to make a point that anything's possible. So for me, this Emancipation Day also meant another very important thing. It was me finally being able to let go of my attachment to money. And this is something that I thought about yesterday and the day before, that I had an unhealthy attachment to money. And of course we do. You're probably saying, "Gina, what are you talking about? We need money in this earthly realm. Money makes the world go round." Yes, it does. And money is a wonderful thing. I actually hope for lots and lots of money. Like when I ask for money, I say, I want more money than Oprah Winfrey. I want more money than I know what to do with, because I can do so much with it. I can support and I can give and I can live my best life. Money is amazing. And at this time in my life, I'm mature enough not to blow it, and I can actually use it to continue to elevate myself by using it to help other people or elevate other people. What I would do if I won $50 million, and I think about this a lot, I would give at least half of it away to everybody that I love and care about. Just give it away. So my daughter gets her coffers filled for her and her daughter and her children. My first ex-husband's going to get $1 million. My every member of my family is going to get a ton of money. Everybody's going to get a ton of money, life-changing money. And then I'm going to buy my house on the coast in New Zealand and live on the ocean under the Milky Way, and whatever that costs. And then I'm going to use the rest of the money to support my community and other people, their ideas. You need seed money for this incredible idea you have to sustain some resource on this earth, or for food growth, or responsible handling of food. I imagine that would be the category I would be most interested in. I don't know, but I would want to use it to elevate other people. That's what I would do with a lot of money. So to me, money is not a bad thing, but I had an unhealthy attachment to it because all I did was hoard it because I was so afraid of being without it. As evidenced by my savings account, quote unquote, which was really my emergency fund, that if something bad happened, I would have money. What I know now, walking down this road of less traveled, this left hand turn that I took, is that I don't have to fucking think about it ever again. Excuse my F bomb there. I don't have to think about it because I know I'll have everything that I need when I need it, because the universe is supporting me. The universe wants me to have money if I'm going down a road where I'm discovering my true self. They will provide it for me. They know what it means to live on earth, and that money is important, and money is not taboo or evil unless it's in the wrong hands, used for the wrong things. And again, it's not the money's fault, it's the person handling it. Money is a gift, it's a blessing, and I want a lot of it. When I wish for, when I try to manifest what I wish for, three things, and I'll share it with you. I wish for true love, which is something my soul wants to experience. And I hope that comes into my life one day. I believe that it will. I hope to live my purpose, which I do every day, which is evolving every day. This microphone, my writing, my resonance, my vibration, the way my body vibrates around other people in this world is affecting. This is my purpose, my whale song. Remember, I don't have to speak. When we elevate to this energy, we become beacons. It's not something we choose, it's just part of the package. Because love is now the basis of who we are, and we get to learn what unconditional love is. And if you hear me when I speak about my ex-husband, that's unconditional love. That's loving a man who basically destroyed me. But because I rose as like a phoenix, I look at that destruction as a gift. So again, it's all about your perspective. Is that destruction a gift, or do you hate that person for the rest of your life, which of course drains you and drags you down into the depths of your demons? So you get to know unconditional love in this frequency. You get to be this bright light in the world. Whether you go out on a speaking tour or pick up a microphone or not, it doesn't matter. Whatever the expression of that is for you, as long as it's creative, because that's what happens. You become this creative being. You start to live your purpose. So I wish for purpose. And the last thing that I wish to manifest is a lot of money. I used to say that I want freedom, but I already have freedom. I have freedom of my schedule. I have freedom of my time. I have freedom of my heart, freedom of my thinking, freedom of my location. I can go anytime I please. I can be anywhere I want. I have nothing in my life that is unnecessary. I have nothing in my life that is a burden. I have nothing in my life that I don't want to do. I am completely free of the paradigms of my low vibrational self. I may be a paradox a lot of the time, the way I speak, but I am free. And it's funny because I always thought of that white Frisian running, that horse running, as my soul running free throughout this lifetime. And I use the image of the two Frisians, the black and the white, which I consider me and my future soulmate, on the back cover of the article Soulmates that I told you about earlier in this episode, where I described the relationship with my karmic ex-husband. I also describe my other soulmates in my life, which include my dog Oreo. And I found out there's a new soulmate that is in my daughter's life, who is another familiar soul to me and my daughter, that I was just validated is yes, it is who you think it is, which is delightful. Again, every day is a miracle. I get these gifts of validation. It's everywhere. But I wish for money, because money makes this world go round and allows me to do the things that I want to do in this lifetime, which is not buy cars and go on vacations and have private planes and bling. I just am not wired that way. I don't know what I would do with a lot of that money, for myself, but I know what to do for other people. And that's why in this high resonance, in this high frequency, the universe will bless me with money because of my intention. So I'm sitting here, now it's June 3rd, 2023, and I transferred the first payment from my own savings, quote unquote, into my checking account to use for my everyday life. And I feel this incredible liberation. I don't feel any fear. And it's funny, I know that other people channel messages for me. And I've been told this over time by the tarot readings, by my soul family, that listen to, sometimes in conversation, you'll hear what you need to hear. And it's funny when I talk to my daughter, who I've described at length as one of my soulmates, and the things that she's done in this lifetime to get me where I am. And I've talked about this a lot. It's also in the article Soulmates, which is on my website. It's a free download, or you can read it right on my website if you want to, at postcardsfromasoul.com. I'll put the link below. If there is a place to put it on YouTube and on Buzzsprout, there is. But what was I going to say? Oh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, dang, that happens sometimes. I'm sure it'll come back to me. But I was talking about I was talking to my daughter. That was it. Uh, um, about hearing a message from somebody randomly, And I believe that this has happened with her a couple of times. And I was talking last week about, and I've mentioned this to her a few times over the last year, that I do these check-ins with myself about, well, okay, do I need to find a job yet? And she said, Mom, do you realize your language has changed over the last few months? When you talk about having to find a job, you no longer say, if I have to get a job, you say, if I'm inspired to find a job, or if I'm inspired to accept an opportunity. She goes, your language has changed. And I said, oh, wow, I didn't realize that. So it really made me think about that. And then just recently, I think this was just a few days ago or maybe last week, I said to her again, I said, I hope I have, I said, if I- hold on, let me gather my thoughts. I said, I think I have enough money to last me quite a while, because even if I have to go into my retirement, I should have enough to bridge me there. And I was kind of planning ahead again, which is what my brain does. And she said, Mom, you probably won't have to wait that long. And I said, "Oh," it just kind of struck me as it, and I didn't think about it later. And she probably would deny it because I don't know if she would deny it or not. But to me now, it feels like a channeled message, like it was the spirit world or her higher self telling me not to worry. You're not going to have to wait that long. And I was told this ahead of time. When you resonate with a message or it sticks with you, it's something that you were meant to know. It was channeled by somebody, even in conversation by some random person. My daughter is not a random person, but she said to me, you probably won't have to wait that long. And I don't really know that she even believes all the things that I've told her about this road on the unknown that down the trail into the unknown that I'm on. I really don't talk to her in great detail about it, because she has a very full life of her own, and again, I don't want to kind of burden her with all this crazy stuff that's happening, so I don't share a ton of it with her. The important things I do. So to me, that statement was kind of like, oh, she either does know more than I thought I told her, or somehow she's saying something that I'm meant to hear. It's amazing how the universe works. so So this Emancipation Day, that ended up being on the anniversary of of my of leaving my business, which felt so appropriate. And then that first transfer of my own money that I was so fearful for so long that I would have to dive into to use. And that ended up being a feeling of liberation instead of a burden or fear. It just strengthened my trust. Like I can't even describe it. It's almost like before, as I was getting to this point, and I talked about this when I almost sold my truck, and I was fearful that I needed that money that I had, the equity in my truck. And I was going through that process of elevating, of this transmutation is, I mean, I've been chronicling the whole thing. It will always fascinate me that as I'm going through this, I am documenting it with my voice and my articles and my book. It just feels amazing to do this. Like, this is what my soul wanted me to do. The message that I got a year ago that said, you will do something, and I think it said on TV, but you will be in your element when you do this, when you do this thing. And I talked to my daughter about what this thing might be, and she said, I see you doing a podcast. That's how that started. This is the support that I've been receiving from the universe to put me on the path, to have me do the things to make sure that I touch the points on this path that I'm meant to touch. And this microphone and speaking to you is one of those things. I don't know where this is going to lead, if anywhere. I don't know if anybody really listens to this. I know there's a few. I have 5 subscribers on YouTube, but I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it because this is what my soul is compelled to do. And I just want to make sure you understand that when we become who we're meant to be, fully formed hybrid, which is how I put it, which is this light being in this human form, fully balanced in the yin and the yang. Oh God, I've learned so much about this. We become our most authentic selves. And I don't even know if this is who all I'm meant to be. Maybe there's someone else still in here who is a higher version yet. I don't know that I've merged with my highest self yet, although I believe it's happening. I've been told that it's happening. And the signs are very clear. When I'm comfortable in my own skin and I'm able to purge anything out of my mind that scares me, and I'm no longer fear my thoughts. When I'm comfortable alone and I don't fear being alone, I don't feel lonely. Loneliness, and I've described this because there was a question asked of a community, and I'm part of the community, and the question was asked, how do we cure loneliness? And I said, after my 25-year relationship ended in absolute destruction, I had to deconstruct what loneliness meant to me. And when I pulled it apart and really broke it down, what it was unfulfilled expectations. And when I realized that those expectations were mine, nobody else's, they're mine, I realized what a trap loneliness is. It's another reason for us to want something outside of ourselves to heal, to fix us, to complete us. But since I no longer recognize being alone as lonely, I don't ever feel lonely. I honestly, the truth is I'm so comfortable in my aloneness now that being with somebody new in my life almost seems like a compromise. And I don't mean that that just means that any rando who comes up to me and wants, I mean, not that I don't know that would happen. I've not dated at 60 years old. I don't know how it works, but I'm not interested in just companionship or just any guy. It has to be the guy. And that resonance has to be powerful and magnetic in order for me to give up this amazing, satisfying solitude. That's another, example of when you are out of this old version of yourself. This connection with the divine is of course another one, but this connection was made when I was still deep in my lower resonances because I had to be told, like with words through the tarot readings, that, hey, we're here, wake up. We're here to help you, to guide you. You can trust us. Keep coming back. We'll keep repeating it, over and over until you get it, until you trust it. And it took about a year and a half of hearing the messages for me to trust that I was actually hearing what I was hearing, to get through the heaviness, the opaqueness, the cloudiness, the thickness of my old vibrational quality. But now that I'm in these higher frequencies, it's clear as day. It's a cloudless blue day, and this divine connection is open. I don't need the words from the tarot readings anymore. I graduated from that, which brought on that energetic cleansing that I described in the energetic chaos episodes and the ones following. And now I'm in this place where the fear is gone, the fight or flight is gone, the prefrontal cortex characteristic of fight or flight, that caveman part of our brain, is gone. I don't need it anymore. I'm no longer living in a dangerous, wild environment where I don't know day to next if I'm going to have food, day to next if I'm going to have money, day to next if I'm going to have love, day to next if I'm going to be protected. I am all of those things because of my faith in the universe and the plan of my soul. She has gotten me here. She has made sure that I'm comfortable with everything that's happening, the human me. Look at the process she brought me through. It took 3 years. But now I'm here and I just drew my first payment out of my savings account, and I have no doubt. I was screaming on my way to my daughter's house, not screaming. I was woo-hooing in my vehicle driving with the windows up, just woo-hooing all the way there. I was so excited about this feeling of liberation. There is no fear here. And I know, as well as I know anything, that if I'm meant to create an income for myself again, I will be inspired to do that, or I will be given an offer. And it just feels so amazing to have this trust be so natural. I don't have to fake it till I make it. I did for a little while. I would say the words, but it really wasn't in my heart. But now, obviously, it is. And again, this is all new territory for me. So I'm reporting from the front lines. I don't know anything. until it happens. And it's so exciting. I mean, every single day I say, I'm just so excited to be here, to have survived what I've gone through and to not be sick because of it, that I am well and healthy and connected, and I am excited and optimistic and hopeful, and I am loving and tolerant and beautiful. Oh my gosh, the time with my daughter and this grandbaby, I am overwhelmed with love. I tell my daughter my heart hurts. And I'm sure all grandparents feel this way, but this is this clearness, this clarity in my heart that I have room for this baby and my daughter. And this whole world and this whole universe is just, wrapped in this unconditional love that I feel for this life, for this gift of this life in this earth plane, on this Mother Earth, who is my guide and my mother and my provider while I'm here, and the universe that guides and supports me. It's just brilliant and it's beautiful, and it is the reason we come here, to come to this place in our hearts, where our hearts and our mind and our bodies and our energy and the earth and the universe all align, where this resonance that I've been talking about nonstop is vibrates in harmony with everything natural around me, where I am in the cradle of the universe, and then I'm the embrace of this earth, and I'm completely protected and supported. And therefore, everyone in my life, everyone I love is too. So my babies are in that bubble, in that, and of course my daughter has her own. My God, she's so powerful. This girl, I mean, I describe me as finally getting my butterfly wings after being a caterpillar all my life. And I'm still seeing the ghost of my caterpillar around me occasionally, although not much. I can now trust these wings. These wings are real, the fear is not. But my daughter was born a butterfly, and her daughter's wings are of a gossamer variety. She's an angel. Truth be told, we're all angels. We just have to really embrace that and know that we're meant to be the most beautiful that we're capable of being. We're meant to live the best lives we're capable of living, depending on our life path and what our soul has planned. So if you resonate at all with any of this, just know that it's not an accident. That's your soul exposing you to something that helps you understand just a little bit more today where you're going, which is what my soul did for me over a 3-year period. Most aggressively in the last 2 years. And probably just honestly, this last year has just been me dealing with my ex and the end of my business. So I probably can count this last year as really my doing. So it was 1 year, possibly really one concentrated year of healing and growing, and then evolving and trusting that evolution has been this last year. Trusting that what is happening to me, I'm not imagining. And if I really truly allow myself to relax in it and not worry about anything. And the last obstacle for me was money. I let go of love. I let go of friendships, relationships, businesses, of everything, things. I let go of all of it without any problem. Take it. I don't want it. But money was the one thing I was like so conditioned to hold on to, that the thought of having to pay my own way without being supplemented by a job scared the shit out of me. So for me, just so you know, that was the biggest obstacle in trusting the universe. And it's so funny how it just fell away. I just stopped thinking about it. And when I would think, it just wouldn't stick. And now all of a sudden, I'm liberated by not thinking about it and by using my own money and not fearing that I'm going to run out at 60 years old. I am completely supported by the universe. I don't know how it's going to come to me, but I will always have what I need. So the message here is really truly is to do your best to listen to the universe and to clear your heart and your body and your mind of the weight that blocks that message. And that if you're resonating at all with this, that's what you're already doing. Let me tell you that. And let me congratulate you because where you're going is amazing. But just, don't even worry. Don't worry about trusting or having faith. Just do what your body does and know that you're on the right path because that's what I did. I didn't know how to worry anymore. The concern just it doesn't stick. I described this months and months ago. So this has been happening over this time, this last year, where when I've gotten this really big energetic kick in February, but it has been happening for the last 2 years where my energy has been changing. I described it in detail. And as I'm going through this energetic change, of course, my mind and heart are also being altered. And it's funny, I look at it as three lines. They're all twisted together during, the beginning, and then they start to pull apart and unwind, but in this like dance. And then before you know it, they're all just three lines that are together and they're all the perfect, distance apart, and they're all connected with this energetic vibration between them, and they're perfectly aligned with each other and everything around them. That's what resonance is to the earth and to this universe. And I don't know if I'm done or not. I still feel physical symptoms of this ascension. They're not anything dramatic anymore. Mostly it's my mind. I don't want to, and this is probably the last landscape that has to change. I don't want to be who I was before. I don't want anything to do with much of what I wanted to do with before. And this includes TV programming, music, everything has changed. My diet, where I spend my time, everything has changed. And it's just so brilliant to look back at all of the kind of confusion that I went through, but under the confusion there was always trust, and I guess I didn't really realize it. That I had this level of trust because my soul was guiding me. My soul, me, I was guiding myself. And that's what happens. Each soul guides their human. And it's funny again, I titled my podcast and all of my work Postcards from a Soul and Her Human. This was 5 years ago. I had no idea what I meant. But this is, again, another example of my soul saying, Here, I got you. Here's the title. It's brilliant when you think about it. We are not alone. And loneliness is a state of mind, but it's a state of mind that we're trapped in along with everything else in these lower vibrational place that we come into, that we have to go through this dark night of the soul. That's what this is. We have to swim through this molasses in order to get out and rinse off and realize that we have wings and now we can fly. Holy shit. No more molasses. No more ground. Now I'm up high in a new place and everything is new. Oh my God. I forgive me, please, for marveling at this real time, but this is still happening to me. I am gobsmacked. I am just, I feel like I've been given the secret and now and the microphone to share it. It's just so beautiful. And at times it catches me off guard and I'm in tears. I feel this incredible freedom. I am that white Frisian running now in the wilderness without fear that I won't find food or that I'll be alone. Horses don't worry, they just go. And their souls guide them to water. Their senses, their instincts guide them to the sources that they need. We are the same when we are clear and we're not laden with everything else. My compass knows where north is now. My soul can lay back and relax now. I can take the wheel for a little while. It's just brilliant, and I'm so excited, and I'm so grateful to share this with you and to have this medium and to just know that holy crap, I wonder what's next. I really do. I have no idea. What's next for me? I don't know. I'm good with everything as it is right now. When I wish for things, it's almost hard to wish for things because I'm so happy and satisfied right now. I have everything I could possibly want, but I do desire true love. I do desire to live my purpose in every way I'm meant to, and I do desire a lot of money. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but for now, I just wanted to share that with you. I felt I'm not sure if I'm gonna call this Emancipation Day or our purpose or what. I'm gonna have to figure out. It's gotta be a short title. But I'm just so grateful to be able to share this with you and to have this presence of mind. And I give my soul complete credit for this and all the support that I have from the beings in the other realm and here with me on earth that help me make sense of this and put this into words. I mean, and to really do it in a way that is meaningful to me, which I hope resonates with you. So I'm going to leave you with that, and I'm going to tell you again how grateful I am that you listen. I know these are over an hour long, and I just want you to know how much I appreciate you and what I wish for you and what I've learned. I've learned how to put this now into a statement. Instead of "I wish you happiness," I wish you clarity and resonance, and then accountability for what you learn, because that accountability is what makes us, which what elevates us. So go on in your life. Have a wonderful day. And I wish you clarity and resonance. Thank you so much.